The last 2 days we've focused on, I'll call it the behemoths. Not to say this next topic is not, or today's topic is not also representative of a behemoth. Google certainly is, obviously a massive company with lots and lots of capabilities. But one of the ways they are different in this app modernization topic is their offerings, both because of acquisition. They've acquired one company in particular in 2014 that brought a lot more to their offering, but it also made it somewhat confusing. And the fact that it's the cloud itself. Now, Google is, of course, extremely popular, for search, for ads, for lots of things, videos, certainly YouTube. But in this world, they are the third place, depending on who you ask. But certainly, they are clearly the third place in public clouds when compared to AWS and Azure or Microsoft's cloud. So I say that to say it's a little bit less cohesive, and it's a little less directly competing with the other two. And then lastly, it's a little less clear. They have a few ways to do the same thing, particularly because of this acquisition we'll talk about. So first of all, really quickly, in case you don't know this, Google's public cloud is called GCP, or Google Cloud Platform. It offers a variety of services, much like Azure and AWS, the ability to host VMs, so you can do infrastructure as a service. You can also host containerized workloads. They have, Kubernetes came out of Google. I don't know if you knew this, but Kubernetes is sort of heavily tied to Google's heritage. So while it's an open source, of course, project now, it's very tied to Google. So they have a Google Kubernetes engine. A lot of the language in the Google Cloud Platform leverages this engine term. So there's App Engine, which we'll talk about first. App Engine is roughly equivalent to the previous 2 days' first topics. So app services from Azure, you've got Beanstalk from AWS. App Engine is roughly equivalent. Now, there's a new technology called Cloud Run, which is also equivalent. It's not clear to me exactly it's very possible, this is conjecture on my part, but it's very possible that App Engine will eventually sort of dovetail and merge in to some extent with Cloud Run. Cloud Run is also showing signs of integration with another one of Google's products, which we'll also talk about in a minute, called Firebase. And so it's actually a separate cloud, I suppose, technically. But yeah, the vision, I think, is emerging with Google. But Cloud Run / App Engine. App Engine has been around for a while. It is very much equivalent to the other technologies we've discussed in prior days. So it's an ability to deploy an application. You simply describe your application in terms that Google App Engine understands using description files, and then you deploy your application using either Google Cloud CLI or their web-based interface, and that allows you to host and manage your application without having servers involved directly. Again, this is the nature of platform as a service. So that's number one. Number two, again, we touched on it briefly. Google Kubernetes engine is a way to take containerized workloads, host them, manage them. Again, in many ways, Kubernetes is Kubernetes. That's why the Kubernetes as a service model is true and relevant. But yeah, you've got GKE, or Google Kubernetes engine. And then you've also got something, what's interesting, Cloud Run might be this now, but also, as I said, there's enough. Cloud Run appears to potentially be the future within Google in terms of several other technologies. But they don't really have an equivalent to ECS or even the less capable ACI. I should say less capable, just different. But they don't appear to have a generic non-Kubernetes way to manage, to deploy containers that I'm aware of. So it's possible, Google's ecosystem is large. It's possible that there's something going on there that I don't know about, but I've never seen or been a part of or experienced or deployed anything on anything from Google that's a generic container service. much like ACI would be in Azure and ECS would be in AWS or at Amazon. So hopefully that gives a broad overview. Google also has a functions or a function as a service platform. Now let's talk about Firebase briefly. I won't go into detail here. Google acquired them in 2014. It wasn't called Firebase then. It was Enable or anyway, it was. They acquired it and it so named it Firebase. Firebase is a plethora of services. Now Google describes them as being for mobile apps, and that is true. There's lots of mobile enablement going on there, but you can also host your web app. They also have a database as a service. They have a NoSQL as a service. You can almost think about it as a lightweight cloud, lightweight platform as a service. There aren't VMs. It's purely PaaS or platform as a service. We're going to talk about APaaS later this week. Almost APaaS, but it's still very focused on code, which is where APaaS tends to shy away from. But anyway, so that's Firebase has the ability to host a website or web app, and of course, there's a litany of tooling to get your app hosted. It's very easy, by the way. It focuses on ease of deployment. Frequently, people will move to Firebase as either entry-level developers or developers who have no infrastructure team behind them at all. It is a phenomenal platform for getting again, they would say mobile application, but I would argue any application that wants to take advantage of mobile features. Things like notifications are sort of built into the platform. Again, it's very oriented to mobile. So that in a way, you could argue it makes it different enough, at least in vision, to what Google has going on in their Google Cloud Platform and with App Engine and Cloud Run. But Cloud Run and Firebase have recently been integrated. Firebase also, by the way, has a function as a service platform called Firebase Functions. So again, this is where the ecosystem on the Google side becomes a little bit stuffy, a little bit jammed, full of offerings. But it's there's a lot of neat stuff going on there. And again, these are just some of the technologies that enable app modernization within the context of hosting, management, deployment, lots of security built into a lot of these products.